Hey folks, it's Brian Nutter from Summit Racing. Here today I want to show you a pretty cool tool for priming your new engine build, specifically your new LS engine build. There's a couple ways to prime the LS engines. One of them is to use a pressurized tank and go ahead and go through one of the feed lines close to the oil filter itself. And that's okay and it works okay. It's a little messy sometimes, and it's, the equipment costs a fair amount of money too. Another option, and this is specifically for engines that have an aftermarket timing chain set that has a separate oil pump drive gear on it. This is not for the factory timing chain sets. It has an integral gear on the front of it. So if you do have an aftermarket set with the separate drive gear on it, this is the socket for you. It's part number SUM-900330. And it's really simple how it works. So there's a couple details about the gear rotor style oil pumps used on the LS engines. The gear that's inside of this is actually free floating, and it will fall to the bottom of the pump when it's stationary. So how we fix this is we've actually nosed and actually tapered the front of the tool so that it will actually find home a little bit quicker than otherwise. So it just slips over the snout, and you rotate it a little bit, and you'll feel it start to go inside the gear. And then you still have to go a little further yet. And it's basically these cuts here is when you know that you've really hit home. Hitting home means the front of the tool is actually touching the lower timing gear on the timing chain set. And at this point, it's just simply a matter of plugging our 3/8 drill into it and giving it a spin. So there's a couple things here to expect once we start spinning this thing over. You could have the front cover installed. Why do we not have the front cover installed? At this point, you're not going to be leaking anywhere except for the oil pump itself. You're going to start seeing some oil dribble out of the bottom of the pump. We've got a pan below it, so no big deal there. I'm going to go ahead and start spinning it up. Drive in, turning clockwise like the engine does as you look at it. Here we go. At this point, I can feel load against it. So to pressurize an engine, it's going to take somewhere between 30 to 45 seconds. How you know you've really done a good job is when you see it start to come out of the top of some of the push rods themselves. Now, something you'll notice, it doesn't come out of the top of the rockers and the push rods equally. That's because the lifters are at varying places through the engine. So when we do this, it's good to actually rotate the engine over about 90 degrees, hit it again, 90 degrees, hit it again. And then that way that we know that we've hit every one of the lifters, push rods, the rockers, everything. And you know you've got a good supply of engine oil. All right, so far we've shown you what it's like to use the tool with the cover off. That's mostly to show you how the tool actually engages the gear inside the oil pump and what it takes. In reality, most of you are going to end up having the front cover on the engine when you end up using this tool. There's a couple things I want to show you though, is do not have this gear in place, because if you do, the front cover has to come off. This does not go into place until the engine is pre-lubed. I'm going to take you to another engine and show you how this tool engages through the front cover. We're at another long block that we have here in the shop. The front cover's been installed. It's got the Summit front timing set cover alignment tool. Basically goes on there and it allows this front cover to be located up and down just square with the crank. It also serves really nicely as a seal installer, just absolutely perfect, hits everything nice and square. At this point, the one thing that you don't have before you use the pre-oiler is this pump gear installed over the keyway in the crank. You've installed your key in the crank. What you've done is you've rotated the crank so that it's at 12 o'clock. Now the reason why is you can see on this gear is it also has a slot right here at 12 o'clock. Now why is this important now? Because it's relatively easy for the tool to work, but when you go to press the gear on the snout, it's just going to make it easier to have this in alignment with that keyway. All right, here we have the pre-luber socket. We're going to go ahead and install it over the snout inside the seal. Now I can feel like it's, there it went, just like that. We just rotated it a little bit and it installed and hit the gear teeth just perfectly. And now we're just going to hit it with the 3/8 drill just like we did before. Valve covers off and look for the push rods to be oiling. So with that, go ahead and just look us up at summitracing.com. Part number is SUM-900330.